Hello, fly chick coming through. Nice to meet you, glad you came too. Like your style and you know you got moves. You spit game and you know you spit.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Fast Lane Collective. We have a full house. We are all here today. I am your host, Brianna Gable, and we have Yasmin and Daniella. It's been a hot second since we've all been back together on this show. Life has been crazy for all three of us, but glad to be back together with you ladies to talk about this specific race, which was the British GP, Silverstone. Wow, it honestly was not expecting all the craziness we got this weekend, but before we dive into all of that, just a little check-in with everybody. Daniella, I have to start with you because you had a pretty awesome Silverstone.
Yes, I wasn't actually at Silverstone this year. I got to see the British Grand Prix from a whole different perspective because I was the analysis assistant producer for Channel 4's Grand Prix coverage for the whole weekend. So I went over to Cardiff, which is in Wales, and worked in the gallery there on all things analysis, which I loved so much. It was an absolute dream come true. Still have not recovered from it because it was genuinely the best weekend ever. Something that I've been working towards for such a long time, and I would not have been able to have gotten there without Brianna and Yaz supporting me, without us all joining and starting a podcast together, like however many years ago it was now. So yeah, feeling very, very happy. It was an incredible experience. I got to work with our CEO. I got to work with some of the most amazing producers. It was just an incredible weekend. Our talent were brilliant. Everything that could have been like it just, the whole thing was just couldn't have been better. Like, it was so incredible. But I will kind of delve in a little bit more into it on our socials, so like stay tuned to check that out. But yeah, it was a really, really good weekend. And also the race was so brilliant that it added to it. It was just such an interesting race, so much drama. So it made the weekend extra special.
Yeah, we are so excited and proud of you, honestly. And you totally would have done this without me and Yaz, by the way, because you are amazing. But we appreciate the shout out. That was very sweet of you. But we are so excited for you. And it's just really cool to hear. And you were sending us some things, like just sharing your experience. And I can't wait for you to share that here on the podcast. And like you said, on our social media. So yes, we're all really excited for you. And we love that we get to see it from a different perspective through your eyes, which is really, really cool. So slightly jealous, but in a good way, in a good jealous. So Yasmin, what were you up to for the British Grand Prix?
Not as exciting as Daniella. I was sitting on my sofa watching the British Grand Prix. Again, super proud of Daniella. If anyone deserves to work in motorsport and the F1 world, it is her. She is so hardworking and dedicated, so hire her. F1, if you're listening, give her another job. She can do it all. But yes, my weekend was far less interesting. Just consisted of me on my couch with my cat and my mum watching the Grand Prix. It's quite fun for my mum to watch the Silverstone because she's been there so many times, especially back in the 90s, and it's fun to hear her reminisce of like, oh, I've been there, oh, I walked there, oh, this person's here. So yeah, not as interesting weekend as Daniella though. But Brianna, we've missed you. Tell us all about you.
Well, I too did not have a very exciting British Grand Prix. I mean, I feel like nothing compared to what Daniella experienced would be any more exciting unless you were like in the physical garage. But yeah, actually it was cool. My parents were visiting us. They live away from us, and they are also F1 fans. And my mom runs GP Girl with me, so we actually got to watch a race together for the first time in a really long time. I also have to tell you guys, my dad said the funniest thing. My dad is known for getting like names of things wrong, whether it's people or businesses, like, and not totally wrong, but he just like flip-flops it or like changes it up a little bit, and then you have to correct him. But he was like, oh hey, he was watching TV and he was like, oh hey, isn't that Martin Grumble? And I was
like the most miserable old man, Martin Grumble.
Martin Grumble. I was like, I kind of like that name better than Martin Brundle. But I was just like, wow, what a flip-flop on that one. Martin Grumble. Really love it. I mean, just fantastic. So shout out to Dad for the new F1 name that will forever live in my mind, Martin Grumble, which is great. But yeah, it was pretty, I enjoyed the race. It was eventful. It was nice to watch with my whole family. But yeah, I also was sitting on my couch, not with my cat, but with my dog. So, but it was such a fun race to watch. I'm really glad it was so energetic and also just so many question marks and unknowns going on, which we will dive into in a second here. But we're going to dive into the news. Pretty short news segment, but we've got some things floating around in the F1 news air. So let's start with, is Max Verstappen leaving Red Bull? Maybe? I think if you asked us this a couple of episodes ago, we would have said no. Like, Max is pretty dedicated to Red Bull. He's made that pretty clear and has even made statements around the fact that he wants to finish his time at Red Bull. But looking at how the past couple races are going, the comments Max has been making, and the rumors that are coming out of Sky Sports Italia is starting to look a little bit more like this is possible. Horner was asked in the press conference this week who would be his choice to fill Max's seat if Max left. And as he was sitting next to Zach Brown, Christian Horner goes, Oscar Piastri would be who I would have fill that seat. Yasmin, you're laughing. I'll start with you. Like, do you think this was just a playful little ploy, or do you think there's any kind of merit to that comment that Christian made?
Well, I think Christian knows that Oscar would not come to Red Bull, especially the situation, let's just call it the situation that Red Bull are in right now. And of course, things can change over the coming years. But yeah, I think it was more of a playful thing. And Christian Horner has done questionable things in the past, but sometimes he does make me laugh with just kind of the wee jabs and how petty things can be with him. But Max maybe leaving Red Bull, that would be quite the shake-up. And I think any team would want him, and especially Mercedes. I mean, like, Toto Wolff would eat that up. Like, can we have Daniella and Max Verstappen? Ooh.
Yeah.
Spicy.
And we did see in Drive to Survive that this season that Toto kind of unveiled that the reason he's never approached Max or even thought of adding Max to Mercedes was because he made a promise to Lewis that was off the table. So now that Lewis is gone, he's obviously in Drive to Survive said and shown interest in getting Max. Also, Danielle, I'll toss this to you, the same question. Do you think that the fact that George Russell hasn't announced any sort of re-signed contract with Mercedes is also a sign that there might be some truth to this Max going to Mercedes?
I definitely think so. It kind of was announced in the days leading up to the British Grand Prix that, you know, they were expecting for George to announce that, like, leading into the weekend, that he was going to be signing with Mercedes for longer, and that announcement never came. And then the rumours started from Italian Sky Sports that, you know, Max is looking like he might be going to Mercedes. And it kind of made me think that everything is kind of falling into place. Like, if George is going to sit there and not say anything, well, it kind of looks like that's the route it's heading. I just find it strange to me that George would be the one to go, because I feel like he has worked so hard with the team and he's really proven himself. He came from Williams when they were really struggling, and Toto gave him a chance at Mercedes, and he's definitely, like, exceeded expectations. We knew he was good, but I don't think everyone thought he was going to be able to fight in the way that he has. Like, especially kind of looking at this year, he's been at, like, when that car hasn't been in its greatest position, he's been able to really fight and you know, challenge the McLarens. So it's a shame to kind of see him potentially leaving. But I can also see the appeal of Max, you know, like, if I was Toto, would I have probably made that decision? Like, would I want to have Max as part of my team when I know that Max is starting to kind of look elsewhere because he doesn't agree with the leadership within his own team and the results that he's getting? Yeah, I probably would. So I can see, I can agree with Toto. I just felt like I wasn't expecting it to be George. I thought, not that Kimi's done anything bad at all. Like, Kimi's been amazing so far this season, and again, I think exceeded everyone's expectations. Everyone was really nervous about having Kimi come in. Someone so young, he didn't have the most outstanding F2 season last year. I did think that, they were going to kind of look at maybe replacing Kimi rather than George. But they're obviously taking a different direction and want to kind of focus on how they can create the best team. And obviously having Max and George as teammates, maybe not the best idea after we've seen, the drama that those two have kind of unfolded this season and even previous seasons. So maybe that also could be why they've chosen to replace George. But I don't know if George would head over to Red Bull or not, or if he would look elsewhere. I'm going to throw this back to you, Brianna. Do you think George will go to Red Bull?
No, I don't think so. I mean, that car isn't looking too great right now, and the only one getting any kind of, the only one who's ever been able to get any kind of performance out of that car has been Max, and it's very clear that that car is made for Max, not for anybody else. So I don't think George would look to Red Bull for that reason. I think if he did go, it would be out of a necessity. It would be out of, there's no more seats. But yeah, I do agree with you. It is strange that they didn't announce George's renewing of his contract, especially this weekend. If there was a weekend to do it, it was this weekend. And seeing how well he's performed this year, it just, things aren't adding up. You're like, But when you talk to Daniella about like why George, why not Kimi, why wouldn't they replace Kimi? I think Mercedes and Toto are very much in this mindset of looking to the future now, and not to the past. Like, how are we going to make Mercedes a team that's going to last for the next, 8-10 years? How are we going to build a solid team around two drivers we trust? But yeah, I think there's definitely conversations going on with Max and Toto, for sure.
I do agree with you in the sense that I think that Mercedes want to build on the future. However, Max has kind of said before that, it probably won't be long until he retires. So that also makes me question again, what is the intention here? Because if Max has said, he's kind of happy with his 4 world championships and, he's said that, he said even kind of after his first, he's not going to be in this sport forever and that he is kind of ready to kind of have that home life, I guess. He's just had the birth of his first daughter. And, that part of his life is now kicking off. How long are we going to see Max in this sport?
Yeah, but I would, to play devil's advocate, if he's entertaining conversations with other teams, that tells me that maybe that retirement date has been moved farther down the road. And it wouldn't surprise me either. I could see him either going two ways. I'm a dad now. I want to start this new part of my life. I've accomplished what I want to accomplish here. But I think the fact that he might have to go out on, a bad note doesn't sit well with him. Kind of similar with Lewis Hamilton. So I wouldn't be shocked if he signs a couple-year contract with another team. But yeah, it's definitely, all signs are pointing toward at least that conversations are happening, for sure. So we will see. I did see some journalist who is an expert journalist on Max Verstappen say that we should probably know within a month and a half from Silverstone if he's going to Mercedes or not. So, mark your calendars for an announcement or no announcement. But yeah, honestly, it kind of makes me feel bad for George Russell because he's done a fantastic job. But again, he could be in that seat next year. All right, the last bit of news is, again, about a driver switching into a seat, like a lot of news usually is. But obviously we know Alpine hasn't been doing the best Franco Colapinto getting into that seat hasn't worked out like Alpine had wanted it to, especially this weekend. Poor Colapinto. Let's just add gas to the fire for him to perform. But there have been rumors this week saying that Valtteri Bottas has appeared as a candidate to possibly replace Colapinto for the end of the season. Yasmin, what do you think about this? Do you think this is a real possibility? And if so, what's the point? We're moving into new regulations. Valtteri probably will just fill in for the season because it sounds like he might be going to Cadillac for 2026. What are your thoughts on this?
As much as I love Valtteri, I just don't really see the point of this. Like you mentioned, there's so much talk about Valtteri going to Cadillac when it comes to next season. And like you mentioned, all the rule changes, like just let Franco finish out his year. Let him get those get that experience and figure out the car a bit more. Again, he's a rookie and he's a rookie for a reason. I think it's so unfair when we don't give rookies like a full entire season to just like feel it out. We go to so many different tracks, so many different conditions, like we saw at Silverstone this weekend. I just think it's completely unfair. And I mean, even Gasly has struggled with that car as well. So chill, Alpine. You're not Red Bull. We're not Red Bull here. We're not second seat of Red Bull. Just take a breather.
Yeah, I agree. It seems a little strange. I'm sure Valtteri would love to, kind of get his feet back in the pond a little bit if he is going to Cadillac. But honestly, seeing Valtteri Bottas's recent social media this year, I think he's really missing his calling, which is being an influencer, because he's just so great with social media. He's so funny. I think he should pursue that, because honestly, he's hilarious and I enjoy every single social media TikTok video he makes. It's so funny. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I agree with you though, Yasmin. It seems strange, and I agree with you too. This is a message to all F1 teams. Chill out. That second seat is not like Ring Around the Rosie, okay? Like, find a driver, stick him in it, and give him a chance to perform. Don't be like, oh, sorry, you had 24 hours. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. Like, that is not how this needs to go. So I'd be surprised to see if they switch, just because, again, too, like, we're heading into 2026. Like, this car is going in the garbage bin as soon as the season is over, if it hasn't already in their minds. So yeah, we'll see how that goes, but I don't think anyone would be mad to see Valtteri Bottas back in any capacity, like you mentioned. All right, let's get into the race, because there's so much to discuss. There's so much going on. I would say let's start this off with you guys giving me your star rating for this race. 5 stars means this was the perfect race. It was the most entertaining thing you've ever watched, and you want more of this. 1 star obviously means this was the worst race you've ever watched, and you don't want to see it again. So I'll give you a second to ponder on this. But I'll go first, I guess. So just to give you some extra time. I'm going to give this a 3.5 stars. I feel like everyone loves rain. It added that little bit of extra chaos in there, safety cars, and I think everyone's strategy went completely out the window. After the second safety car came out, they were like, all right, we're all, no one knows what we're doing. We're just going to try to see what sticks. So I would give it a 3.5 stars. I think a lot of safety cars sometimes, there was a huge portion of the race that was under a safety car, which at first I was, kind of was like, okay, we're slowing things down now. Of course it makes it interesting, but, it can make it a little like, okay, this is slower than I expected. So, Yasmin, what would your star rating be?
I was going to say the same thing. 3.5 stars for me.
3.5.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a lot of safety cars, loved it, and I loved kind of how unpredictable the weather was. It stopped, it started, and that was kind of the race for a good period of time. But there also was a section of the race that I thought was kind of a bit like just boring, I guess. We're just going round and round in circles and not much was happening, especially with teams trying to decide strategies. Do we pit? Do we not? So I enjoyed it. Just because I gave it 3.5 does not mean I didn't enjoy it. I had a great time. And yeah, Daniela, on to you.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a little bit more than what you guys did, but I think that might just be because I am biased and it was the best weekend of my life. So I'm gonna give it a 4-star because for me, I found the whole thing really interesting. But to put into perspective, when things slow down, my job can get a little bit busier in that period. So what my job kind of entails is when things happen in a race, so for example any incidents or like massive overtakes that cause kind of big storylines, I then have to sit with someone and their operating machine, and we have to like clip up all of those bits. So when the race gets a little bit quieter, I'm like, great, I can fully focus on this now. So I didn't notice the race getting quieter because I was then busy doing that. So for me, the race felt hectic the entire time. And I just thought it was great, like the whole dynamics between trying to work out the strategy because the weather's coming in crazy, but then also crashes, people spinning, like people going off, just all of that drama adding in with the whole rain element for me was just perfect. Normally, I'm not the biggest fan of a wet race. I think I've said this before that sometimes they just make me a little bit nervous, but this one I loved. It was like the perfect amount of rain to the fact that like yes, it was kind of bordering on a little bit dangerous, especially when Hajar went into Antonelli, which we'll come on to later, but it also was, it added that element of excitement, but I wasn't sat there like fearing for the drivers' lives.
I love that we have like 2 different experiences in watching this. Us as just like pure fans, we are disconnected from anything happening on the back end of any of this. But I love hearing like Daniela, your perspective, being like, actually that's when like it got busier for me, and in fact the whole race felt chaotic and busy. So that was really interesting tidbit that I just learned. So we love this. Yeah, I think we can all say rain is exciting and causes unpredictability, not just with what's going to happen on track racing wise, but also causes strategy, just craziness. And I think you said it perfectly, Daniela, like the unpredictable rain and weather tackled with the safety cars, 4 in total, by the way, 2 virtual safety cars and 2 physical safety cars during this entire race, just added an element of unpredictability and uncertainty to everything. I think too, sometimes when races get really busy like this, we have more than one safety car, and we have rain and weather and intermediate tires, wet tires, normal tires. It is hard for me as a fan to keep track. Like, I remember being toward the end of the race and being like, wait, what was he on inters and now he's on slicks and now he's on inters again? Like, wait, I don't know. Like, what's happening? Like, how many times has he gone in? Like, it gets kind of hard to keep track of. And I think sometimes that can also cause us to feel like the race is a little I don't want to say unwatchable, but difficult.
Yeah, I get what you mean. And again, this comes in from my perspective, but I used to do this regardless. I will show this up to the camera for those that are watching. But when I work on F1 or Formula E, I log each race. My handwriting is appalling, so sorry about that. So I will write down like which lap, the time that it happened, and the incident. But then also on my laptop, I would have up on the Formula One website. I pay a subscription to Formula One. I can't remember how much it is. I want to say it's like £20 a year, but I'm not sure. And then I can see like lap times, what tyres the drivers are on. I have all of that information right in front of me, the sector times, what position everyone's in. And I just have it on a screen in front of me so then I can keep track of who is on what tyre, who is getting the fastest lap, where are people losing time, because then that plays into the analysis that I do. So for me, I was able to keep track of all of that, but that's because I write it down, and also on the machines that we have, I can spin back on something if I'm like, oh, I can't remember what happened with that, or I just want to see that in a bit more detail. I can spin back, and I can find like different angles of things and see things from a different perspective that other people won't get to see for maybe another minute or two.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to share that because I think it, like, again, this weekend in particular for me was from such a different perspective. Obviously, when I'm at home, I still have the F1 stuff on there and I'm able to kind of keep looking through that, but I don't have all of this other extra stuff that I can use to help me. I do sit and log a lot of races regardless, and I used to do that before I even started working in TV. I just used to do that for fun, but also for this podcast to help me remember what happened. So that's why I'm able to keep track of everything, but obviously the average viewer wouldn't have that same experience.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really cool to like see, and that's a lot. I can't imagine, like, I'm overwhelmed and that's not even my job. So I can't imagine, like, you have to keep track of all of this. It is part of your job. So I would probably be like, help, too much happening. I need like to duplicate myself or something. But yeah, I mean, such craziness going on, lots to keep track of. And I feel like that played into just the making this race really unpredictable and interesting, but also making it a little bit overwhelming and sometimes feeling a little boring, just because our eyes and brains couldn't keep up with it all. I do not have a notebook to write it all down. And even then, I don't think I'd be able to keep up with it, to be honest with you. But obviously, a lot of this rain, a lot of these threw off a lot of strategies. And we saw what I'm going to call the great rookie exit of 2025. Because we had Antonelli, Lawson, Hadjar, Bortoletto, and Colapinto all out in this race due to the weather, the tires. Like, it was just mass chaos, and we saw a lot of those drivers, rookie drivers, really getting their first taste of a really, really wet race in Formula One. And to be honest with you, Yaz, like, I felt like we were seeing the first time these rookies trying to handle a truly wet race in these cars. Do you think that's why we saw a lot of the rookies going out here, or do you think it was just a case-by-case scenario?
I think for some of them, yes. I mean, Antonelli had to retire the car after, I think, just multiple hits. Lawson, absolutely, like, no grip. And then also you have, like, no visibility. You're so far down that cockpit, and the spray, like, there was moments even when I'm watching on TV, I'm like, who's that? I can't even see what car that is. And I can't imagine being a driver and you're just having to put your foot to the floor and just praying that there's nobody really close in front of you. So yeah, it's definitely a learning experience, let's just say. Sadly not for Colapinto, though, he didn't even, get a proper start. I think he was stuck in second gear in the pit lane, so just not a good weekend for the rookies, unfortunately. I was really hoping to see some rookies kind of get further into the race, but unfortunately not, so
Yeah.
a lesson learned.
Lesson learned. Yeah, you're right. With the spray, sometimes it's like, I feel like I'm just watching clouds of spray. Like, I can't see anything except the lead car. And every time, it amazes me. Every single time I watch a wet race, I'm like, how? And we kind of saw that, like you mentioned, with Isaac Hadjar and Kimi Antonelli. Isaac just didn't see him and went careening right into the back of his car. And I think that plays into a little bit being a rookie and understanding how you need to be a little bit more cautious while still remaining aggressive in these certain scenarios. But yeah, it was pretty crazy, and we saw a lot of these rookies out. We also saw a lot of the seasoned vets too, just careening off of the track into the grass, into the gravel. Some I can think of: George Russell, Fernando Alonso. We saw guys just like going out. So we know the conditions were really, really tough. And obviously it's a big track. So some parts of the track were quite dry and okay to drive to their max. And then there were some parts of the track, like the last two corners, a lot of drivers were saying the rest of the track is fine, but these last two corners are not ready for slicks. So it really, really added just that extra bit of craziness, and also with all of these people going off, including all of those rookies, and all the safety cars. And not only did that cause drama within how people are going to get basically a second chance, a free pit stop, change those tires, we also saw it causing some chaos when it came to the leader Oscar Piastri. Obviously, he was penalized, 10-second penalty, 2 license points for braking under the safety car. He went from 218 kilometers an hour right down to 52 kilometers an hour. And that granted him that lovely penalty. And we saw Oscar actually for the first time show frustration, anger even, I guess you could say. I think we've said this multiple times on this show. He's a pretty even-keeled personality. When he wins, when he loses, kind of the same mood. And yeah, he was quite angry at the end of that race, even saying, I'm not going to talk much because I'm going to get myself in trouble. But Daniella, how do you feel about that penalty? There was a lot of controversy around, well, he kind of braked like this before on the lap and nothing was said. McLaren was saying that they were told very late that the safety car was coming in. What's your take on this penalty? Do you think he should have gotten one? And is the penalty that he received just?
I think it's really hard to kind of talk about this incident without having to bring up the whole George and Max from a few weeks ago. George kind of did a similar thing, maybe not to the extent, but that was written as being within the rules, and this one wasn't. I don't know if it is because the severity of how, like, from going, I think you said, was it 218 kilometers to 55? Like, that's a big difference. I don't know if that was part of the reason why. I need to do some proper, like, research and look through the lovely document that is the rules and regulations of Formula One. It is so long. It is a pain to look through. I don't recommend. So I need to fully understand myself, but I think that to me it did come off a little bit harsh. Like, I wasn't expecting it. Like, I saw it when it happened, didn't think too much of it until I got asked to relook at it, and then I kind of was like, oh, okay, I can see why we now think that he might have brake tested, because the first time that I saw it, like when I saw it live, I just thought that Max had sped up. Like, that's just what I thought had happened. I was trying to do a million other things at the same time, logging everything and clipping stuff up, that I didn't see it fully. Like, I looked up and that's what I thought I saw. But then when I rewatched it, I thought, okay, no, I can see that it kind of, like, Oscar did slow. And maybe he genuinely didn't know that safety car was coming in, and I remember writing this in my notes, safety car coming in this lap. And then as this was happening, I was writing safety car coming in. So I knew that it'd been said out loud. It must have been, like, you know, told to all the teams and to all the drivers, because it was announced on the broadcast. So I think it is still a little bit harsh, because I don't think Oscar meant to do it on purpose. Like that's not Oscar. I don't think he would have pulled a move like that. But I can kind of see how it came across and how maybe that could have been a bit more dangerous if Max hadn't been quite on it. And I think that kind of led to Max's spin, because I think that shook him up a little bit of like, oh my God, I nearly just went into the back of Oscar, to then kind of like, as soon as that safety car went in and Oscar went, because then Oscar was on it, he was like, oh my God, that just happened, then, oh, I need to go. I think it kind of threw both of them off a little bit, and they weren't expecting it, and then that's what caused mistakes.
Yeah, I think too, we heard Oscar talk in the driver's room after, saying that he just heard in his headphones safety car coming in, and he saw that the safety car's lights had gone off as he was braking. So his claim was, I was braking like before I even knew the safety car was coming in. Because again, that penalty is for braking under like the safety car. So he was just saying that basically he was told late that it was a quick decision, and he claimed that, like, I've done this before. Like, why is this a problem? Now, Yasmin, obviously, like Daniella mentioned, looking at the incident with George and Max a couple of races back, a lot of people were saying that the stewards are really going to take a look at that and the severity between, you know, went from speed A to speed B in this certain length of time, and that will kind of be the benchmark to see, like, okay, is this more severe than George's incident, or is this less severe? Do you think that kind of the speed that he was traveling at. Like I said, he was recorded to be traveling 218 kilometers an hour, and then on braking swiftly went down to 52 kilometers an hour, which is that's a pretty big brake situation there. Do you think that severe kind of drop in speed is really what granted the 10 seconds and the penalty points?
I definitely think that like that drop in speed is what caused the penalty as much as it hurts. um, from my understanding, I was kind of like trying to read up on, so where's the line? Like where do we go? Okay, it's okay if you brake to this, and if you go over that, is it good or bad, basically? I think it's all down to the braking pressure. So I think with the George Russell incident, I think it was like 30 psi or something that he braked to. But the difference was with Oscar, it was to like 60. So it was like way, 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 way over, I guess, the minimum that the FIA had like decided on, which with George Russell was like, well, 30 psi, that's the limit. So I think it's really unfortunate for Oscar, because if he got that call so late, he obviously is just trying to stay within the rules himself of not trying to overtake the safety car. And of course, when the safety car like goes in, you have to have that gap, because if he just speeds off, he's going to go right into the back of the safety car himself. So I think it's harsh, but I also understand where the FIA are coming from. It's just, it's just so hard for Oscar to take. And I think they're going to call the safety car in way last minute. I think they need to just let it go round for another lap. And I know we had safety cars throughout the entire race, and it was very up and down, and it's slowing down the race, and they want to get the race going. But I mean, it could have caused a bigger accident, so it's frustrating. But hopefully we learn from this, FIA. Probably not.
I don't know. Get out of that rule book, add another page, like Daniella said. Let's get a little more specific around what PSI is the threshold, because obviously it's the second time this has happened this season. I did hear a lot of the commentators saying like, oh, by doing that, by braking like that, he is causing Max to brake very quickly, therefore to lose temperature in his tires. So there was some speculation that there's some reasoning behind the quick stopping, not just like, oh, I just didn't want to go back in the back of the safety car trying to keep my distance. It was like, I think you were trying to make Max's tires cold. Regardless, he did receive the penalty, and he did get maybe the result he wanted, because Max did spin out on the restart of that, probably due to no temperature in his tires, to be honest with you. We don't often see Max Verstappen making mistakes, especially on restarts like that. So you have to kind of take a look at, okay, did the tires play a role in it and the temperature, which I'm sure it did. But Max spun out on that restart, but as Max Verstappen does, he recovered and still ended up in P5 at the end of that race, which was absolutely crazy. Unfortunately, his teammate Yuki Tsunoda, not so great, ending in P15, which was in this race with all the DNFs, last place. But yeah, and Max, I think this weekend had a really, really great weekend. It's surprising that Oscar was able to kind of take it to him, because when I saw Max put in that qualifying lap this weekend, I thought, oh, like, wow, that seemed to come out of nowhere. And I was fully expecting a Max win here in Silverstone, honestly. But, I mean, Oscar did a great job and frankly drove so well this entire race. But with that penalty, it just kind of ruined it for him. I mean, at least he didn't have Max Verstappen breathing down his neck. But still, didn't play out like Red Bull would have hoped, but still got some points out of it with Max. Let's talk about Ferrari, because I think that team had the weirdest weekend I've ever seen in my life. Obviously, this is Lewis's home race, along with many other drivers this weekend. And his streak of being on the podium at Silverstone was broken this weekend. He has been on that podium ever since the 2014 season. this weekend that streak was broken. He did finish P4, which honestly I think is great for him with all the chaos that was going on in this race, all the tire changes, the weather. To finish P4, I think he can still be quite proud of. Obviously, we were all hoping there's a little bit of an opportunity there with Oscar after we got the penalty, but it just didn't happen. Daniella, how do you feel about Lewis's performance this weekend? Do you think even though the streak's over for him here, that still he can take a lot of positives from this weekend?
I absolutely think that Lewis can take some positives from the weekend, because I think the problem being was that everyone was expecting, and not maybe necessarily expecting, but definitely hoping for a Lewis win, or at least a Lewis podium. And I think the fact that he got P4 was actually a really great result. In qualifying, I won't lie, I did think he was going to get pole. Before Max came out of nowhere, Lewis was gaining. Again, I was doing my classic thing of checking sector times, and Lewis was gaining in sectors 1 and sector 2, and all of us were like, oh my god, he's gonna get pole. Like, we're about to see Lewis Hamilton get pole. And then he dropped off and Max came out of nowhere, and we were like, no, we all thought we were gonna see Lewis get pole. And so I think that kind of led everyone to be like, oh, like, we really were thinking this is what we were gonna get. We thought maybe that could then mean we would get a Lewis win. Ultimately, that obviously didn't happen, but he had so many moments throughout the race where, like, he was making overtakes and you know, like, he was really trying his best to kind of get up there. And I felt like I saw, like, a different side to Lewis. Like, there was just so much determination from him that he was doing everything in his power to get on that podium. And it really made me respect him in a different way than I've seen him before. Like, I can't explain it. It just felt like a whole different Lewis. And I feel like it feels like a whole different Lewis every year at Silverstone. That is his race. That will always be his race. And I think that for him, Silverstone is like coming home, and he wants to do his absolute best there. I know that there's a lot of British drivers, but I feel like for Lewis, it is so special. He's won there 9 times, I believe. He's going to want to make it a 10th. He wants to break that record. And that, like, he had that drive, but unfortunately there were a few mistakes. He went off at one point, and then George got through, but then he was able to overtake George and then kind of work his way a little bit back up. But he was battling a lot, and I would say, like, he did give a really great performance. He just couldn't quite convert that to a P3. I think when, you know, you said, like, Oscar's penalty came in, and I think, like, we all thought, well, he's probably going to get past Stroll, he might get past Hulkenberg, like, we could see him on there. And I think there was a time when, like, we did think that Oscar's penalty was actually going to drop him down and out of the podium. It ultimately didn't, but I think that's what people were kind of hoping for, so that we could see Lewis on the podium. But I think that if I was Lewis, I'd be quite happy with the fact that, you know, I've struggled this season. I haven't fitted in well with the team in the way that I wanted to, but I've now come out with a P4 at my home race, which is, like, my best result of the season. And yeah, so I would say he would be quite happy with that. Maybe a little disappointed, but
yeah. And frankly, even being able to finish that race unscathed is, like, kind of a miracle in itself, is an accomplishment in itself. And with how he hasn't been able to kind of get the feeling of that car, I agree with you, Daniela. I think even though he wasn't able to get on the podium, that still he can be very proud of what he did here this weekend. I think for me, the confusion, and why I kind of mentioned this when I introed this Ferrari talking point, was they were so incredibly quick in practice. So quick, to the point where people were like, whoa, even Zach Brown was like, oh, Ferrari, I think, is, you know, coming to get us, kind of comments. And I thought, for sure, after watching all the practices, I was like, wow, we could see maybe both Ferraris on the podium this weekend. This is how quick they were. And then it just did not play out in qualifying and in the race. Charles Leclerc having probably the worst race I've ever seen of his career this weekend. Honestly, it was incredibly painful to watch. He even said, too, after the race, I think this is the worst race I've ever driven. And obviously there was rain and lots of craziness, but still, like, we see Charles making small mistakes, but keeping it together. And I think he went off the track multiple times. It wasn't just once or twice. It was, like, more than that. Yasmin, were you also puzzled by why is Ferrari having so much speed in practice this weekend and how that just completely dropped off as soon as qualifying started and the race?
I am still so confused to why their pace just absolutely dropped. Like, I don't know, a little bit of rain and then suddenly the car doesn't work. Like, I don't get it. It's just so confusing to me because I was the same as you guys. I was like, this is it. Ferrari, they've they've just saved it for Lewis. There's something about coming to his home race, and we're gonna have one of those magical Silverstone moments that Lewis usually has. And just just nothing seemed to work with them. And every time the broadcast that I was watching would cut back to Charles, it would just be him like in the gravel or in the grass or just something happening or being overtaken. And even though Hamilton did a pretty good job for the car that he had, he definitely let it be known on the radio that he was struggling and that just this car just was not working for him this weekend. So I think Ferrari need to work on whatever gremlin was going on in that car that just suddenly happened on the Sunday. I just don't know. Very confusing and a bit worrying, honestly. Like if you can one day have an incredible pace and then the next day completely fall off, like as a team I'd be a bit concerned. And I know strategy and all can play into this, but ooh, not good.
Yeah.
Not good for Ferrari.
Yeah, and it'd be one thing if, they were great all weekend, had a great qualifying, and then, the race didn't pan out. I think you could justify it there. You'd be like, well, there were so many factors going on. Temperature, rain, temperature of the track, tire, like constant pit stop switching. Like you could justify why the speed didn't translate. But then, like it was just straight. But the same thing happened in qualifying. We had no weather. So it's so strange to see. And I agree, Yasmin. They need to figure out what's going on there because both drivers are complaining, not just Lewis. I know Charles basically said that like he's not going to enjoy driving the car the rest of the season, which is like something worrying, like you mentioned, Yasmin, and something you don't want to hear. So yeah, just a puzzling weekend from Ferrari overall, with the difference in their speed translating to the weekend. So yeah, just very strange. But we'll see how they are at the next race. Maybe they'll be able to tweak some things and be able to keep that speed going into the rest of the weekend. Because I honestly thought we were going to see a double podium for Ferrari. I really did. But that obviously didn't happen. But again, not a bad result for Lewis. P4 just off the podium. Not too bad. Not too bad considering. All right, let's wrap things up with the two most exciting results of this weekend. We'll start with Lando Norris finally winning his home race. I mean, watching anybody win their home race is something very special. And I was like, wow, he won Monaco and he won his home race this year. Like, that's a pretty good year to me. But just seeing him win his home race, having his whole family there, it was really, really special. Daniella, I know for you, being able to like watch it from a different perspective. You've got your McLaren shirt on today. How was that being able to watch Lando Norris just kind of win his home race for the first time and all the emotions and excitement that go with that?
It was pretty special, to be honest. In our last episode, Yaz asked me who I think was going to win the British Grand Prix, and I said Lando. She said Oscar. I said I want it to be Oscar because I'm an Oscar fan, but actually, you know what? I'm really happy that it was Lando. It just made that room even more electric that I was in. It just made it so special, getting to witness that as well. And all I could think about was like the Lando stand and how all of those fans must have been so elated. I can't imagine how they must all be feeling because I was so happy. I was like, yes, well done, Lando. Like, that was just incredible because I did think before Oscar got that penalty, I thought, okay, this is Oscar's race. Like, he's won it. But then obviously that kind of changed, and then seeing Lando's family's reactions, seeing his reactions, hearing his team radio, it was such a beautiful and special moment. And there is nothing quite like winning your home Grand Prix. And I feel like it's even like, it's extra special when it's Silverstone. Silverstone hosted the first ever F1 Grand Prix. It's obviously 75 years of Formula One, so I feel like getting to be able to do that around the anniversary is pretty spectacular. And yeah, as someone who like used to be a hardcore Lando fan, but not so much as I used to be, it was pretty special to watch. I know, I'm sorry, Lando. Yeah, like it was really special to watch, and I felt very honoured that, you know, I got to my first Formula One Grand Prix that I was working on. It was Lando winning his home race.
Yeah, it's got to be cool that you get to participate in like your first F1 broadcast that you're participating in, and you get to witness someone winning their home race, like a little bit of history there. And yeah, I agree. Like, I love Lando Norris and his mom celebrating together. We need more of that. We just need Lando's mom in every single race because she's so adorable. And just seeing someone be able to fulfill a dream is really, really cool. And I think also for him this weekend, you know, I feel if he's come close a couple of times to possibly being on the, like, winning this race. I think back to when he was in first place, I believe, and he got punted off the track, I believe, by Lewis Hamilton. I might be wrong. Don't check me on that. But he's been close before. So to see someone kind of finally reach that mark, win his home race with his family there, is such a cool experience to see. And also surprising a little bit this weekend, it was not Lando's best weekend. He did get lucky with Oscar. And that penalty, we have to say that. Like, if we look at the whole race, Oscar drove a better race. But hey, sometimes you just need a little bit of luck to play into these things. And as a Lando fan myself, I was very happy to see him win this race. But I think who I was even happier to see win this race, Nico Hulkenberg. I mean, oh my God. We were just sitting there going, oh my God, he's going to do it. Oh my God, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. Just, wow. I mean, not to overshadow Lando winning his home race, but watching Nico, who has raced for so long without any podium at all, get it this weekend was so special. Yasmin, what was your initial reaction to this? Were you in shock and awe just like me?
I mean, if you would have told me at the start of this season that we would even see a Kick Sauber anywhere near a podium, I'd be like, you're very funny. That, like, haha, I'm laughing. But like, it actually happened. And Nico deserves this. He's been in the sport for so long. Like, I think David Coulthard put up on like Instagram, like, here's all the things that have happened like since Nico Hulkenberg has been racing. And it's like the creation of Instagram.
Oh my God,
like,
really?
Yeah. Literally, like, I can't remember all the things, but like if you like look at David Coulthard's Instagram, it puts up like all the things that have happened since he's been like chasing this podium. And I mean, it couldn't have gone to like a better guy. It's so sweet. And then to see his daughter reacting at home as well, it's just so sweet. And of course he gets like the cool Lego trophy. I mean, perfect for his daughter, he said. So it's just such a sweet moment. And then when we saw him like in the like post race like room, I forgot what it's called, the cool down room, that's what it's called. And Lando had to bring up his helmet because Nico didn't even know that you were supposed to bring your helmet with you. It's just like, I don't know, it's so wholesome and so deserved. But one more thing is, fun fact, Nico has about 20 career points now and in the standings. And if you look at the second seat drivers, like since last year in Monza in 2024, Nico has like the same points as all the second seat drivers that we've had in the span of Red Bull's like career so far. And
Wow.
it's just a bit crazy if you like look at that. But anyway, that's a little fun fact to throw in there. But yes, Nico, well done, well deserved. And hopefully next week we're back on the podium.
That would be, wow. Talk about like amazing. Like, you go for so long. I remember when he left F1 the last time before he came to kick Sauber, I thought, man, that must suck. Like, I really didn't see him coming back into the sport, like, ever, to be honest with you. And I thought, man, that's a bummer. Like, you're leaving the sport, you never achieved even a podium. Like, that's gotta be, like, eating away at you inside. Daniela, did you get just as excited seeing Nico win? And did you also have those same feelings when he left last time as well?
Yeah, I was so excited when I knew that there was a chance he could be on the podium. I was saying to everyone, like, this is Hulkenberg's first ever podium. He's been racing in Formula One for 15 years, and I believe it was his 239th Grand Prix that he took his first podium. And I was just so excited for him. I was also keying through because if Lance Stroll had gotten on the podium, it would have been his first since the 2020 Sakir Grand Prix. So I was like telling the producers this and the Hulkenberg stuff so that they had that up their sleeves. And yeah, like I just was so excited for him, and I wanted him to get it. Like the whole race, I was like, if he could just overtake Stroll and, you know, get on that podium, I'd be so happy. And he did it, and he got on that podium, and I think there is not a single person who is not happy for him. Like, everyone has wanted this for such a long time. Seeing the reaction from his daughter made me really emotional. I was like, oh my God, this is just so sweet. And so, like, I can't imagine, like, how much he's wanted this. But also, it's such a good message of, like, to everyone, like, never give up. Like, it may be a really long road, but it's going to be really worth it when you get it. And you could see from his celebrations that it definitely was worth it.
What was even crazy was Sauber actually had no champagne in their garage, in their hospitality, none ready for any celebration purposes. And Mercedes actually delivered a box of champagne over to Sauber so they could celebrate in the garage. Also, just seeing the celebrations of the entire team. Like, it wasn't just Nico that was happy. The whole team was celebrating. Like, they had honestly won a championship. Like, it was very sweet. And to see everybody just not just happy for him, but for the team, like, it was truly a team accomplishment. And also just seeing how much Gabriele Bortoleto just loves Nico Hulkenberg. Like, just look at the radio message he sent him while he was out on track. Their interactions after, like, he ran to him after the race and, like, hugged him, and he was like, you're such a legend. Like, it was just really cool to see, like, teammates supporting each other in that way, and also seeing a rookie really kind of, you can see they have a great relationship, and the fact that he was able to, like, celebrate his teammate like that, which is really, really cool. But so sweet also. Yeah, and the video of his daughter, adorable. I will have to say at that moment, Daniela, you mentioned, like, oh man, it's going to be like Lance Stroll or Nico Hulkenberg. And I was like, first of all, the fact that is coming out of my mouth is insanity. Like, it's either going to be Lance Stroll or Nico Hulkenberg for P3. And I was like, sorry, Lance, I don't care about you at all. Like, I was like, Nico Hulkenberg, go! I was like, no one really cares if Lance is going to be on the podium or not. Like, Lance won't even care, I don't think. So I was just so thrilled to see him get past Lance and get that. It was just really exciting. But yeah, hilarious. I mean, and seeing Lance's, also his radio after the race, like, he had a great result. P7, I believe, is what he finished in. Correct me if I'm wrong there, ladies. But a pretty good result. And instead of being like, yeah, that was difficult, that was a difficult one, but, like, yeah, well done, everyone, he instead chose to say, like, this is the worst car I've ever driven in my entire career. Like, part of me wanted to say, well, you're the worst driver to ever drive ever. But, I mean, Lance Stroll fans, I know there's like 2 of you out there. Come for me. I don't care. Do any of you have any, like, thoughts on kind of that circumstance and, like, the fact that also Lance was very close to getting a podium?
I think it's
first,
just a bit...
Daniela.
I just think that it was a really weird kind of comment to make when you were kind of on track to get your best result finish in 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to me, I'm like, how can you say that when you were comfortably sat in third position for most of that race? Like, what are we not seeing? What was going on with you during that race? Because how can you come out and say that? If he had DNF'd or if he'd come last, I'd say that's really valid. But to be sat in the best position he has in 5 years really makes me question, why did he say this now? Why didn't he say this last race? Like, why is it that this race he's come on the team radio and said that this is the worst car he's ever driven, when he got some good points this weekend and was on track for a podium before he then ultimately got overtaken? And maybe that was it. Maybe it was the fact that he did not have the pace to hold on to P3 to the end of that race, and that people were then overtaking him. I don't know, but I just found the timing of it was rather strange in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's not like he got overtaken by a Red Bull or a Ferrari. He got overtaken by a Kick Sauber car. So, like, I don't... Yeah, I agree with you. It was strange. I think, like, he got his best result, like you said, in 5 years regardless, and there seemed to be no satisfaction or even, like, slight happiness with that. Yes, the car could be horrible. We heard Fernando complaining about the strategy they had him on. He made a comment of, how do you guys always mess up my strategy? I don't know, Yasmin, what are your thoughts on this whole little comment?
I just think if Lance is going to be so ungrateful for like a really good result for the team, then it should be Fernando who's on the better strategy, because Fernando is like, why couldn't have that been me? And again, talking about how he doesn't get the better strategy. And I just think it's really, I don't know, selfish and privileged to just kind of be like, well, this car is whatever. Like, people work hard behind these cars, like people, spend their whole life trying to get to this point of F1. Maybe not Lance, but, I just think it's so unfair and kind of like a spit in the face of those people that work hard in these factories behind the scenes, and probably a team that was like, oh, we were in the points, and you know what, we were close to a podium, and there's something for us to work on here. I just think it was really disrespectful, and especially to the engineer. Like, I couldn't imagine hearing that. Like, again, the engineer was like, well done, and to have a radio message back basically being like, this car is shit, is just so, like, Lance, shut up. I was like, stop being so mean. Just, I don't know, smile. Be grateful for the small wins. Like, my God.
Yeah, it's giving daddy's boy energy.
Daddy's money.
Yeah, daddy's money energy. And spoiled brat, frankly. But yeah, like, I do also want to be clear, like, we have heard other drivers make comments about the car being horrible. We're not saying that comment is unique or strange. The comment and the results that he got, his best result in 5 years, and was put in place to be on the podium, that's the strangeness of it. It doesn't make sense. And also, yeah, for someone who constantly underperforms a lot of the time, to have a good performance in a pretty crazy race, you think you'd be like, okay, yeah, we still got stuff to work on, but, glad we're in P7, good points, and great that I did better than I have in the past 5 years. Like, it just seems strange. So I just wanted to, make that clear. We're not crapping on Lance Stroll because he's Lance Stroll. Just seemed like a strange comment to make for your best result in 5 years. Yeah. But, I mean, we couldn't be happier for Lando. We couldn't be happier for Nico. It was such a cool race. Also, the fact that we got Lando's first home win, Nico's first podium in 15 years. Just amazing, really, really cool to see. And again, a little bit of history. And I'm so glad that monkey is off Nico's back. He'll no longer be known as the driver who's driven in F1 the longest and never gotten a podium. Like, that's gone now. And I'm very curious to see what this does for his confidence. Like, what is this going to do now that that's whew, okay, I got that one off my back. Like, that's gone. Like, I've accomplished that. Like, what is this going to do for his confidence, his race? We will see for the next following years. Obviously, we know he's going to be with Audi, so it could be good for him for sure. But I think that is all we have for you this episode, guys. Thanks again for listening to the podcast. Of course, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. You can also subscribe to us over on YouTube, where you can watch and or listen to our episodes if you would like. If you want to chat with us during the week, check out our social media accounts, TikTok and Instagram at the Fastlane Collective _. And until next race, we will see you in the fast lane. Bye-bye.
Hello, fly chick coming through.